And today's agenda, it will be a quite introduction about the DocuSign, followed by we have a security. In DocuSign, they provided a default security features. And then I'll be showing you how to, what's the envelope, followed by a power form. And then I'll be letting you guys know what's the DocuSign power form and its advantages. And then there will be a demo part. In that, I'll be covering the core concepts of the DocuSign power form. The major one will be capturing a data from your JS file to power form, and then capturing the form data into your Salesforce application. And the next one will be followed by there are some few limitations in power form side, and then I'll be letting you guys know. And then reference at the end, there will be a question and answer session. So feel free to ask at the end. Let's get this started, guys. Introduction. DocuSign is the most reliable and globally trusted service. What basically DocuSign is? DocuSign is a digital signature provider. Like in real time, in current live technology, there are many digital signature providers like Adapt, Tomcat, a small PDF, DigiSigner. Even we have a Signwell. But DocuSign is one of the globally trusted and leading digital signature provider. Not only a digital signature, and it allows us to approve or decline a number of documents. Yeah, this is basically what the DocuSign means. In DocuSign, signature and documents are uploaded with encrypted and unique and a unique hash code will be created. When it comes to a document signature, so obviously the document will contain some secure data. So we need to make sure all the data should be encrypted, should be uploaded in whatever the DocuSign or a Salesforce. It should be in an encrypted manner. So by default, DocuSign allows us to upload the documents in an encrypted manner. At the end, a unique hash code will be generated. And the next one is DocuSign service. Yeah, when it comes to service, obviously there will be some charges. So DocuSign service offers either by a subscription by monthly or yearly. But when it comes to a mobile application, it's free to use. So though we have an mobile application on both Android and iOS, I think it's not in Windows. So basically, it's free of cost in mobile application. Sorry, mobile devices. And the next one will be a security. Like I said, by default, DocuSign provides a set of default security features. By default, what DocuSign means is it's like a single sign-on. I mean, it's like an person specific. Each and every person need to be configured in a DocuSign. So the first one will be an email address. So each and every, while registering your account in a DocuSign, so your email ID will be verified while registering. The second one will be an access code. I think everyone aware of this access code. It's nothing but a one-time password. Whenever the user tries to open a document, before opening the document, the DocuSign part will ask you an one-time password to the registered mobile number. Registered email address. So the OTP will be sent to the registered email address, and once the OTP is verified, then only you are allowed to open and go through each and every point in the document. And then third one will be a phone call. So similarly, one-time password will be generated to your phone through a call. And then next one will be a same. It's also a similar OTP will be sent to you guys by SMS, right? Text. And the last one is knowledge based. Knowledge based is nothing but security questions. When you try to open your document, it will be asking you some security questions, like while registering your account in DocuSign, while registering there will be some security questions need to be registered in your account. So those questions will be verified while opening the document. So these all are the 5 default security features which is provided by the DocuSign. And the next one is envelope. An envelope object is an overall container for a DocuSign transaction. Actually, envelope is nothing but a document. When the user in real time, what will happen is the user needs to, apart from a digital signature, what will happen is user need to go through each and every point in a document. Once it is, it's like a hard copy. Once each and every point is gone through, at the end, the user will be submitted. So in DocuSign, we call the hard copy of the document as an envelope. So when it comes to a DocuSign, we can able to track each and every transaction. Like whenever the document is opened by a client or an end user, at the time we can able to track the data. Even though whether the end user or a client might approve the document or reject, he might be sign or he might be decline the document. So we can able to track each and every transaction for the single document. And then one more thing, we can upload one or more document in an envelope. So it doesn't means one envelope must contain only one document. So in DocuSign, we can upload more than one document. At the end, each and every document will be verified by the client. And then if the document is satisfied by the client, at the end, our client will be signing the document. Then next one is a PowerForm. Actually, PowerForm is a way to create a self-service document. Self-service document is nothing but once the document is created, at the end, you will be by default it will be generating on secure URL. So this is what this is going to be. This is how the PowerForm will work. PowerForm, yeah, and then one more thing. PowerForm delivers on-demand feature and on signature with with a simple integration and no more hassle with the PowerForm. It will be easy to integrate. No need to confuse with integration. It will be quite simple. And then your business can generate an on-demand self-service document for a signature. So when you guys try to integrate your integrate your business with the PowerForm, it will be easy for you guys to move further. You can eliminate document preparation time. When you try to integrate it with PowerForm, the document preparation time will take less than a minute. So it will be easy for you guys. And then more than that, we can easily pull the data from any of our JS file to our DocuSign. And then similarly, we can pass the data from your form to any of the external application like Salesforce. In addition to their flexibility, PowerForm features are an industry-leading DocuSign security. So when it comes to a security, it will be like initially I said, each and every document will be hash coded. So we no need to worry about the security feature. It will be a user-friendly in experience. And then in PowerForm, before the PowerForm, I said a template, right? So when it comes to a template, one template can be related to multiple documents. But when it comes to a PowerForm, only one template can be related to a PowerForm. It will be a one-on-one relationship. It will be a vice versa on envelope. So envelope can be related to multiple documents, but only one template can be related to a single PowerForm. Actually, and then one more thing, PowerForm is not person specific. It's like a global one. So anyone can, if the URL is available in any of the websites, then anyone can access that PowerForm. Only one single template can refer to a PowerForm. So like I said, only it's like a one-on-one relationship with PowerForm and the template. Why DocuSign and its advantage? When it comes to selecting product, leading products in market, based on our advantage only, we will be choosing which product we need to focus. So that's why I put those things into together. So basically based on advantage only, we will be choosing the product. So when it comes to a PowerForm, no more coding is required. Before introducing a PowerForm, how the DocuSign is integrated with any other external services like Salesforce is, we need a set of developers to create a HTTP request or a REST API. So based on that REST API only, we can able to use the core feature of the DocuSign into our Salesforce. So obviously, it takes a lot of time to integrate. More than integration, it will take a lot of time for the developer to use the functions, the core functionality of the DocuSign. So when it comes to a power form, no more coding is required. Just a basic knowledge on DocuSign and then a basic knowledge on Salesforce is enough. And then the second one is to create a power form, just power form administrator permission is enough. So it's like a similar to our Salesforce platform. While creating a user in Salesforce, we'll be selecting the profile, right? So based on the profile only, we will be providing the permission to the different user. So it's like the same in DocuSign also. While creating a user, we need to provide whether he needs to be an administrator or whether he needs to be an read-only or editable. So to create a power form, administrator permission is mandatory. And then next one will be a pricing. So obviously pricing matters, right? So we have some leading digital signature provider like Adobe Tomcat, Small PDF, Signwell, and then DigiSigner. It's not, I didn't mean DocuSign is a less price, but when it compares to other digital signature provider, it's affordable, like a $10 per month. And then next one is easy to integrate with multiple products. So when we can able to integrate DocuSign Sandbox with not only with the Salesforce, we can able to integrate it with multiple products at a time. So like Salesforce, Dropbox, and then Outlook. In their upcoming release, in DocuSign upcoming release, we are expecting to integrate with WhatsApp. I hope it will be available as much as possible. And the last one will be we can track a log. So when it comes to a coding part, so we can able to easily track each and every transaction. When it comes to Powerform, we don't have a coding set of things, only configuration. So in DocuSign, we have a separate option for tracking the transaction. So in that log, we can able to track the each and every step of the transaction, like whenever the form is sent to the end user, our client, or opened, whether it is signed or declined. So we can able to track each and everything in the form. So these all are the advantages which I found in DocuSign Cloud. And then next one will be I'll be showing you a few demo session. In that I'll be showing you guys how to create a power form, and then I'll be showing you guys how to how actually the power form works, and then when the how to pre-populate a data from your JS file to form, and at the end we need to capture the form data into Salesforce. So that will be covered in a DocuSign field mapping. Okay, I will switch my screen right now. Kader, which screen you are able to see? It's my Salesforce or?
Yeah, it's Salesforce.
Yeah. Okay, let's get this started with the demo session. Actually, as of now, I created opened a two tab. One is an Salesforce org. It's a developer org. Parallelly, we need to create an account on a DocuSign. So it's just an app demo.docusign.com. Once you open that, you need to create a account over there. For now, I already installed my DocuSign package in my Salesforce. I'll be showing you the package details. Yeah, in App Store we have many DocuSign packages, but the exact one is a DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce, and currently I'm using a 7.8.1 version. Once you install the package in App Store, an app will be available for your administrator to use, like DocuSign e-signature. In this application, by default, they provided a set of objects like a DocuSign admin tab, DocuSign envelope configuration, envelope, and then DocuSign status. So as of now, we will be focusing on a DocuSign admin tab and then a DocuSign status. Let me show what's in the DocuSign admin tab. Once the app is once the package is installed, first we need to provide the DocuSign sandbox credentials in our Salesforce. Just go to the DocuSign admin and then account. Actually, I already connected my DocuSign sandbox. I'll be showing you how to do that. When you try to, there will be an option called log into your DocuSign account. It's enough. Here we need to provide your DocuSign sandbox username followed by your password. And then there will be an option called environment. Here it's showing production, demo, and other. It's nothing but the sandbox which is connected to your production. Or so at that time we need to select the production. And what is demo? Demo is nothing but production copy. So it's created by a DocuSign for a developers. So what are the features available in production? The same thing will be available in a developer. I mean the developer org for a DocuSign. Once you provide the DocuSign credentials, just click a login. Parallelly, what we need to do is once we log in into the DocuSign sandbox, so just go to settings. In left side, we have a separate section called integration. Under the we have an option called connect. In DocuSign sandbox, already I connected my Salesforce org. If your org is not connected, means just go to add configuration. Here, the Salesforce option will be available to connect. Like I said, the integration supports more than one application, right? So here you can able to see Dropbox, OneDrive, and then eOrigin. Once you select the Salesforce, what will happen is this tab will be appearing for you guys. Here we need to provide our username, I mean Salesforce username, followed by password appended with security token. If you are using any developer org, means we need to make sure to provide the login URL that need to be appended with the service soap, these piece of code over there. Okay, and then we need to make sure that we have an updated security token. Once you just provide the credentials, then select the connect. That's enough. So here the two things we need to consider. In DocuSign sandbox, in Salesforce, we need to provide a DocuSign credentials. Parallelly, we need to provide a Salesforce credentials in DocuSign sandbox. Once we provide both the credentials, then your Salesforce org will automatically get connected with your DocuSign sandbox. Once it is connected in Salesforce, it will be showing over there. Once it is connected, we can able to track the DocuSign user ID. Parallelly, we can able to check the Salesforce user ID and environment in DocuSign also. So this is how we usually connect the to both orgs. Okay, let's move into the PowerForm. Yeah, initially I said, right, so to create a PowerForm template is mandatory. Creating a template is nothing but we have an option called new or create template. Actually, I already created one template. I will be showing you guys what are the things you need to focus on creating a template. While creating a template, um, here it shows we can upload more than one document. Initially, I said template can be related with multiple documents. Here we can able to upload many documents in a single template. And then we need to, and then one more thing. One more thing I said earlier, like it's not an user specific, it's an global one. So we need to make sure a name and email field should be blank for the template. Only if the name and email field is blank, then only we can able to use this template as a power form. So this is my sample registration form. In that I created a set of fields. Creating a field is nothing but in left side we have some set of standard and custom fields. We can use drag and drop to create those fields. While creating those fields, we need to concentrate on few things. In right side, we have a set of properties to control the feature of the field. First one will be a character limit. First, yeah, we need to focus on character limit. Why I'm saying this is whenever the form is submitted by our client, we need to capture the, the exact name field, and then it need to be updated in our Salesforce. In parallelly, I created as the name and date of birth field in our Salesforce. I'll be showing. So parallelly, I created a set of fields called name, email, phone number, age, available, and gender in DocuSign status object. What DocuSign status object will do is whenever the form is submitted by our client, a new record will be created and updated in the DocuSign status object. So by using this object, we can capture the data from our document. So whenever this is our form, so we need to make sure the name field character should matches the field which is created in our Salesforce. In case if it is not, in case if the um, character limit in our Salesforce is lesser than character limit in our PowerPoint means at that time the transaction will get failed because let's take here the character limit is 400. I might be entering more than 10 digits. But in Salesforce, we have a character. While creating a field, I just provided a character limit as 10. So when the during the integration, what will happen is the field value in DocuSign form will get updated in the Salesforce field. So at that time, from Salesforce point of view, it won't accept more than 10 characters. So because of that reason, the transaction will get failed. So while creating our template, we need to conscious on providing the character limit. And then we have more properties like formatting, like we can able to format the text. And then the second major part will be a DocuSign label, sorry, data label. Based on this data label only, we will be capturing the data from our form to a Salesforce. At the end of the session, I'll be showing you where this data label will be used, but we need to make sure we have a proper data label. And then we have a major thing called validation. While creating a field, we can able to provide a validation, like in case we have an email field, right? So here I just give the field validation as email. Apart from that, we can even use our custom validation by using a regex pattern. So if you don't want to use any standard validation, means then you can go with an regex pattern that will applicable for the respective field. Once all the field is, these are the properties which can be, these are the major properties can be tracked and updated using the, on the respective field. Once you design your form, just go with a save and close. Yeah. once our template is created, next one is we need to create a power form. Creating power form is nothing but a simple, just go for a new one. Then there is an option called create power form. Yeah, here it comes with a power form. Initially, I said one template will be related with multiple document, but when it comes to a power form, we can able to relate it with only one template. So these are the templates which is available for me to proceed with power form. So here we can able to select only uh, one template. So we cannot able to select more than one uh, template. So here a set of templates is available, right? In this template is filtered based on the criteria. So what's the criteria is while creating a template, we need to make sure the name and email fields need to be, name and email field should be empty. So here I kept the name and email field as empty. So if I give any name and email means then the template will not be available to on form creation. So now I'm just creating the power form. So here it comes. By start, I said DocuSign will provide you a set of security features, right? So while creating a power form, there is an option called um, required email validation. So whenever the user tries to open the form, it will be asking you validation. I mean, and one-time password will be sent to your registered email ID. Then it needs to be verified before opening the document. Then for now, I'm just enabling this. Followed by we have a set of option called limiting the quantity. So basically the form is not, the power form is not person specific. So it's like a global one. So anyone, if the URL is available to anyone, then anyone can able to submit the form. So at that point of view, we can able to provide a quantity limit, like only 50 user can submit the form. So like then we can able to customize over there. And then next one will be a response time. So we can provide some uh, time interval. So for like within for the upcoming 1 week only, the form will be available up to 50 users. This is how we can able to limit our customer to complete our form on time. For now, I'm just disabling this. For now, I'm just enabling the email validation only. So then I'm just clicking the create. Here it comes. When a form is, like I said, whenever the form is created and unique and secure URL will be created. So this is that URL. I'm just copying that URL. In case if I try to access this URL means what will happen is first initially it will ask me an um, email validation. So when we try to integrate it with our Salesforce, first we need to copy store those secure URL in our metadata. By using our SQL. We can retrieve the URL from our metadata, and then we need to use those URL in our JS file. For now, I'm just directly opening that URL. Yeah, here it comes by the default security. Here we need to provide our name and email. hold a second. And secure OTP will be registered to your, I mean, sent to your email address. So before opening that, we need to verify that. Yeah, this is how our form looks like initially. First, for initially, I'll be providing you the random data like actually the signature is capturing from our from my catch. But default, what how it looks like is when we try to do our signature, we have it is provided with two options, one with a draw and then another one with upload. We can upload our signature from our local also. For now, I'm using the draw. Yeah, like I said, whenever the form is submitted, a new record will be created in our Salesforce. The recently created one is 029. Now I'm completing my form. Yeah, whenever you complete an option, we have an option to download our completed form. So once the form is submitted, a new record will be created in our Salesforce. Yeah, so 030. Yeah, new record is created. These all are my form data. A name, date of birth is 8/28/21, 24 male. Here you can able to see the name, phone number, age, the checkbox, and then a gender. So these are these are the data which is captured from this Power Form. So this is how basically the Power Form works. And then next one is, pre-populating the data from your JS file to a form. So pre-populating is pre-populating a data is nothing but there might be a chance we have our client's data in our existing or external service or in our JS file. So before opening the form by a client, so we need to make sure that predefined data need to be predefined data need to be pre-populated. So for that, that's a simple thing. I'll be showing you. Akala, which screen you are able to see? I'm just shared one notepad.
Yeah, notepad.
A notepad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, how we need to pre-populate our data into our form. So for now, I created one href tag. In that href, I just provided our secure URL. This is our secure URL. Yeah, this is our secure URL. At the end, we need to provide which field need to be pre-populated. So these are the data we need to be I mean, these are the data which is pre-populated in our form. So this is how it happens. Like here I mentioned a student underscore DS name, right? This is nothing but a field label. Field label means while creating a form, I just provided label, right? Initially, I said we need to focus on providing some reasonable name, right? So these are data label of the respective field. Yeah, this is how we need to pre-populate data. Now I just try to open that this HTML file. Sorry. So when I try to click open this link, new that security URL will be open with the values get pre-populated. Yeah, I just enabled the security question, right? So I need to provide that. Yeah, here you can able to see the values get automatically pre-populated. How this happened is using this kind of pre-population only. So here you can able to see at the end of the URL, I just appended it with underscore ampersand symbol followed by a data label equal to the value. So this is how we need to pre-populate our data into a form. But I think so yeah, this is how we need to pre-populate data from our external service or a JS file into our form. So, and then one more thing, when it comes to security, we need to make sure, yeah, I'm just opening that again. Yeah, here in URL you can able to see, right? So I just provided the name and Arun email and then age, whatever the value needs to be pre-populated. But when it comes to a real time, there might be a chance we need to pre-populate our social security number or personal identity. So when it comes to security, there might be a chance. There might be a chance of hackers to steal the data from the URL. Even we have a set of Google extensions to capture these kind of data to store in our local. So when it comes to security, so I don't suggest you guys to go with this kind of implementation. Actually, this is what our DocuSign provided us to use. But as a developer, we need to focus on our security. So we can able to overcome this by using a post method. So parallelly, I created a set of method called post method. So this is, I simply just create a form followed by your action. In your action, just go with our power form URL. At the end, you need to make sure you provide with a post. In our body part, just provide a set of input field as a hidden. In the name field, we need to provide a field label of the form. So and then followed by we need to provide an email ID. I mean the value. So if we try to use this kind of post method means then the value won't be available in our URL. So I will show you guys one more thing. So if I try to open this form, this button, then the post method will trigger. A form will be opening. At the time, the no data will be captured in our form. Sorry, in our URL. So here you can able to see no data is captured. But when you try to pass this security question, values will get pre-populated. So I suggest you guys to go with this kind of implementation, not to go with that like an ancient way to pass the data from one page to another one. So this is how we uh, pass the data from our external service or a JS file to our form. And then next thing will be how we capture a data from a form to a Salesforce. So that will be, that will be configured in DocuSign.
Sorry, can I ask one question here?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah, you are told for the security purpose we are using. You suggested the like a post method in the HTML, right?
Yeah.
So if you are using the URL in the JavaScript, you are using in HTML side. If you are using in the backend JavaScript side, can we like a URL embed that something we can embedded form we can do that instead of the post method in the JavaScript?
Yeah, we can able to use that. If you try to embed it with URL, it's clearly you can able to see the data over there.
Yeah, we can embed this one, but I'm saying if the same thing we are doing there, but whatever that value we can be like a base history for something we can convert it, right? Like URL encoding, decoding something we have a different some methods is there in JavaScript.
Yeah,
right?
we can able to encode the data and pass it URL, but we don't have an access to the DocuSign part to decode it. So yeah, I suggest you guys to go with the post method.
Okay, there is a we can't do like that that URL encoding something like that.
No, actually, I tried I tried to encode the data and pass it in URL.
Okay.
But with server side, right? So we don't have an access from DocuSign to decrypt it. So
Okay. Got
yeah,
it.
that's a kind of drawback only. So don't go with this kind of implementation. To overcome that, go with the post method.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go with the next. So if you try to use this kind, if you try to go with the post method, then all the data will be secure. No one can able to capture the data from URL. And the next one will be capturing a data from a form and storing in or updating in our Salesforce. Yeah. In DocuSign, we have a, first we need to go to setting. Then left side, we have an option called integration section. Under that, we have an option called connect. Already we connected our DocuSign with the Salesforce. So go with the Salesforce. Here we have an option called connect object. By default, no objects will get connected. So for now, we will be focusing on DocuSign status object. Like whenever the form is submitted, record will be created in DocuSign status object. So just go with the DocuSign status object. At last, we have an option to add a field from a form to Salesforce. So here we can create a number of fields. In left side, we have an option to select what are the fields available in our DocuSign status object in Salesforce. So in left side, it will be showing you Salesforce fields. Parallelly, in right side, it will be showing a set of default functionalities provided by a DocuSign, like envelope created date or submitted date. So when it comes to our customization, we need to go with a recipient secure field. Recipient secure field is nothing but the field which is created by our developer. So initially I said, right, we need to be more conscious on set of things like character limit and then data label. So we need to provide those data label over here. Like, so while creating a form, there will be a field, right, for the user to enter a name. So we need to provide that data label over here. Parallelly, we need to select which field need to be updated like a name. So whenever the form is submitted, a form from the data from the form will be captured, and then that data will be stored in a Salesforce in this respective field. This is how our data are captured from our DocuSign form to our Salesforce. This is how mapping happens. Yeah, I think I'll most cover the creation of Power Form, and then I go with capturing a data from our JS to form, and then a form to our Salesforce, covered the mapping part. And then next, I go with limitations of form. Yeah, like I initially said, sign-in person recipient action is not supported with the Power Form. So when it comes to a Power Form, it's not an person specific; it's a global. So it can be the major concept is anyone can accept anyone can access that form. So might be in future a single sign-in person might be available in a Power Form also. And then second one is not secure to pass a data in URL. Yeah, like I said, as a developer, we need to overcome a few set of issues. So as per their DocuSign documentation, only they provided only passing data in URL, not in a post method. So I suggest you not guys to go with an embedding the data in URL. Just go with an post method. That will be the secure way to pass the data to one page to another. And the next one will be a time delay to update a Salesforce record. So whenever the form is submitted, a few seconds takes to update integration to a Salesforce. So whenever the form is submitted, a new record will be created and updated in our Salesforce DocuSign status object. So it will take around 10 to 15 seconds to update. So obviously for me, it's going to be a time delay. And the next one is no option to create a record on a custom object. Actually, when it comes to Power Form, we can able to update a record in a standard and custom object, but we don't have an access to create a new one. So if we want to create a new one means then we need to go with an Apex class to create a new one. So this is the one way. In DocuSign, we don't. In Power Form, we don't have an option to create a new record. I think these are the limitations I found. That's it from my side, guys. If you guys any questions, feel free to ask. Am I right?
Yeah, well, Arun, yeah, I have, yeah, we are also using Power Forms. Actually, I have worked on the Power Form. You are giving the good points to me, like URL. We don't use those kind of stuff you are giving to me. That is very well you are explained. Actually in real time, I have faced one scenario, around like before we in XML format or REST API format, we are sending mails or any URLs, we are embed the data, then we are sending mail to the user, right? Like a subject and body. The custom
Yeah.
fields we can customize in the body, right?
Yeah.
But when we are using the Power Forms, the automatically the Power Form body and email, we can email body and subject we can set up in the in Power Forms only, in the whatever the default subject and body it is taking, like sending the mails, like a completed mails or two roles in the DocSign, like a DocSign Power Forms. That time the user can get the one more mail like review document. That time if the custom fields we have created, right, that custom fields we can embed in the subject or body. I'm facing that issue. Actually, I'm unable to do that. Only recipient name and recipient email, those kind of fields only we can embed, but we can't embed like the custom fields. If we want that, like suppose I need some product code, we have, it is defaultly coming from the URL, Power Form URL. that should be included in our subject or in the body. Is it anything possible way we can do that? But I have tried a lot, but it is not possible for me actually.
Okay, you said that like your form will be sent by a mail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, major concept of introducing a power form is not a person specific. It's like a global one. Anyone can access that power form.
Yeah.
So in your case, I don't suggest you to go with a power form. Just to go with an REST API or HTTP method. So
Oh,
in power form, we have all the features to use, but it won't act like uh, in your scenario. Like a
yeah.
person need to be received, right? So
Yeah, few restrictions is there, like what I have asked you regarding the email concept. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah. This answers my question, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, got it.
Hi Arun, I ask you a question. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
Okay. Hi Arun, this is Guhan. I have a question. You are updating standard object which is provided by the package. So are you able to update our custom object?
Sure, we can able to update a custom object also. I will show you a set of options in Salesforce.
Okay.
First, we need to go to settings. Here we have an option called connect under integration.
Okay.
Go with the Salesforce, followed
Okay.
by an option to create an object, right? So go with a new object. Here we have an option to create a Salesforce object. So here we can able to objects which is available for user to update. So from here we can able to select a custom object also. Based on that, we can able to update the fields.
Okay.
Okay, this answers my question, right? Or anything else?
Yeah. Okay. And one more question, please.
Yeah.
Are you able to customize the signer view? Update or customize the signer view?
You mean this one? I mean, hold a second.
Okay.
Yeah, you mean this view, right? So it's
Yeah.
showing. Yeah, we can able to update this by a brand. We have an option in DocuSign like a brand. For that, you need to
Okay.
separate brand for your customer. So here we can able to from using that option, we can able to customize all these things.
Oh, we can customize the signer view also. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. This is how it. This is how brand meant to be. From here, we can able to use our customer logo based on the customer requirement. We can able to uh, update over here. So when we create a brand,
Okay.
yeah, when we create a brand at the end, when a XML file will be generated. Those XML
Okay.
file default functionality of the DocuSign. So we need to override that code to update the changes for the based on the client.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Clear.
So any other questions from the participants?